Kevin Patullo. I don't know if anybody has heard of this guy before today or before these past couple days, where that's all we've really been talking about is who the Eagles' next offensive coordinator is going to be. So nobody's really ever heard of who this guy is until as of recently, right? So the Eagles today hire Kevin Patullo as the offensive coordinator, and I don't really know how I feel about this because I feel as if this could be the next Brian Johnson 2.0, something like a Jalen Hurts comfort, you know what I mean? But when I really break this down, Kevin Patullo was the Eagles' passing coordinator before this. But if you look back, the Eagles' passing game has been inconsistent, not as good as it can be. So really, how good is Kevin Patullo? Now, what I will say when I compare him to Brian Johnson had 2 years in a coaching position. And now when you look at Kevin Patullo has had 15 years in coaching in the NFL and in college as well. So when I really break this down, I just think the Eagles should have went to outside of the building when it comes to this job. But I mean, we're going to see how this goes down. We're going to see how this transpires. I am willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm not feeling bad about it, but I'm also not feeling great. I'm in the middle. I'm not really sure how to feel because he's been our passing game coordinator, and our passing game's been inconsistent. It hasn't looked great consistently and as good as it should be, right? So I'm looking to see what he can potentially do. That's all I really want to know. That's all I really want to see. What can he potentially do? How can he change this offense? Now, what I want to see him do is what I want to see him do. I want to see him continue to run the ball first. This is a run-first offense. And that's where I want to see him continue to be. I want to see him continue to be that run-first type of guy, right? So when I really, we have to live whatever's going down with this Kevin Patullo hire. It is what it is, right? It is what it is. But here's what I will say about this. I'm actually upset. And, and it's not in the fact that we hired Kevin Patullo. It's not in the fact of that. So here's what I'm upset, but here's what I will say. I'm upset, but I'm not upset in the fact that we hired Kevin Patullo. I'm upset in the fact that the Eagles did not go out and interview any other guy outside of the building. They stuck with their guns, they stuck with their guts, and they went with Kevin Patullo, who is Nick Sirianni's guy, which is all fine by me. But I think you should have interviewed, you should have looked around, you should have shopped a little bit, you should have heard everybody out, all the possible guys out there, right? I don't think you should have went with your first possible choice. But ultimately, I mean, if it came back to Kevin Patullo, right? If you interviewed 5 different guys and then ultimately you said, hey, man, I think Kevin Patullo is really the guy that should have this job, I would say, okay, it would make me feel better that you looked at all your possible options. You said, hey, man, we gave it thought. We think, Kevin, you're the guy. You've been in this organization. You've been here with Nick. You've been here with Jalen. You've been here with the offense. I would feel better in that way. But just the fact that the Eagles and Howie and Nick and Jeffrey, all they did, they took whatever Nick Sirianni said, which is all fine by me, right? That's fine by me. The fact that you want to go out there and you want to go and listen to whatever Nick Sirianni said. I have no problem with that, right? But I just think that you should have went out. Now, I can say whatever I want, right? Like, I can say, hey, man, because I want to say, like, I thought in the first place, Eagles should have went out of the building to find the next offensive coordinator anyway. I think the Eagles should have, in this position, I think you should have went outside of the building. I'm not saying that this Kevin Patullo is a problem or it's going to be a bad hire. I'm not going to put some negative outlook on it. What I'm saying and what I truly believe is if the Eagles wanted the truly best possible outcome, I believe that is going outside of the building. That is looking outside. That's it. It's looking outside It's looking at all your possible outcomes. It was maybe potentially trying to bring back Kellen Moore, right? So, yeah, I mean, you know what? I don't want to be negative at all when it comes to this. I really, really don't, because we just came off of a Super Bowl, man. You know what I mean? We just won a friggin' Super Bowl. And I'm down here and I'm on live stream talking to you guys and I'm being somewhat negative when I don't want to be negative, right? I don't want to be that negative. I just want the Eagles to have the best guys around them, the best coaches, the best coordinators, the best team around them. What's going on, Dom? How you doing, pal? Yeah, I mean, this is just what it comes down to. So what I want to see, like, so when you obviously we're going to have a couple weeks, we have the entire offseason really look and talk about what the Eagles are going to, or what we can see out of Kevin Patullo in this new position. But I think what I truly want to see out of him is I want to see a different look on the pass game. That's what I want to see. I want to see a new look on the pass game. So what I want to say to that is, right, like I'm trying to find a way to word this. What I want to see out of Kevin Patullo in his new job is a new look on the pass game. I want to see a more consistent pass game, but really I want him to continue to be a run-first offense, continue to pound the run with the best running back in the league, Saquon Barkley, but I also want him to have a new look on the passing game, which means more play action, more under center snaps, not this consistent in shotgun. And then when Jalen's actually under center, you automatically know that the Eagles are going to hand it off to Saquon. I want to see a different passing scheme, different plays, different routes. And a lot of the things from Kellen Moore worked. But I think what they did is that they let Jalen play too comfortably. I think what I really want to see out of this Kevin Patullo hire is a new look on the pass game. I want you to continue to be a run-first offense. I want you to continue to pound the run with Saquon, but I want to see the under center snaps. I want to see the play actions. I want to see the bootlegs. I want to see Jalen pass the ball. Now, that's not me saying that Jalen has to throw the ball 35 times a game. That's not what I'm saying. But I think that throughout the year this year and in the past 2 years or so, the pass game with Jalen Hurts has been so inconsistent. Some days the passing's very good and the scheme's very good with the pass. But then the majority of the games, it looks like it's piecemealed together and not really well thought out things, right? That's all I want to see. I just want to see new, updated, well thought out game plans, well thought out passing attack from Kevin that highly builds up Jalen's confidence, that makes Jalen a better passer. Like, that's all it is, man, right? That's all it comes down to. That's all it ever has come down to. Put Jalen and the offense in the best possible position. Now, Kellen Moore did a great job throughout the year doing that, but now it's up to can Kevin Patullo continue the reins, continue the scheme that Kellen Moore put out there. Now, I think the Eagles are going to copy and paste this Kellen Moore offense. I think they're going to keep this Kellen Moore offense. I really do. I think that's what you're going to see. I think you're going to see the same offense next year as you did this year. And I'm not saying that it's a problem by all means. That is nowhere near a problem. But I just want to see a Kevin Patullo spin to that Kellen Moore offense, more pass. And when I say more pass, I mean a difference in the pass game. A true difference in the pass game, under center, bootlegs, play action, rolling out. Really using his weapons, really using A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert if he's back, right? Saquon Barkley out of the backfield, right? Like, that's where it is. What's up, everybody? Thank you all for joining into the stream. I really do appreciate it, man. Make sure you guys like the stream, comment, Subscribe if you're new to the channel. I really do appreciate it. Come on, guys, join in the conversation here. How are you guys feeling about this new Kellen? It's not Kellen Moore. How are you guys feeling about this Kevin Patullo hire, the new Eagles offensive coordinator? That's what I'm doing right now. I'm breaking it down. And also, while you're at it, please go over to Instagram. I have my Instagram poll question of the day. And right now, I put out the poll, and that is, how do you feel about the new Eagles offensive coordinator hire? 45% say good, 5% say bad, and 50% say, I'm not sure how I feel. So, I mean, I think that's where I am. I'm not sure how I feel. I'm willing to give him the true benefit of the doubt. But, I mean, I'm just not willing. I'm just not happy to see that we could potentially be having another Brian Johnson. Now, do I think this guy is a complete disaster like Brian Johnson is? No, not at all. But I'm just saying. But yeah, guys, if you guys want to get in on this conversation, how you feeling about him? How do you feel? Why do you feel that way? Dom says, I love it. He also, that guy's been in the system. Yeah, he's been in the system, but that doesn't mean he can call plays, right? We said the same thing about Brian Johnson. We thought when we brought in Brian Johnson to be the offensive coordinator, we said, well, that's Jalen's guy. That's who Jalen's been around his career in Philly. That is who he feels the most comfortable with. And then you looked at the way that backfired on the Eagles. You look at the way that the Eagles turned out with Brian Johnson. They went the soft route. They took the easy road. They took the comfortable route, right? And then you look at the way that it ended up hurting us and really destroying that team that was so good that year, should have been so good, right? I mean, that's what it is. It's truly what it is, man. Yeah, I mean, so the last thing that I want to really touch on here when it comes to this Kevin Patullo hire before I get into these call-ins is, is the fact that this hire shows that the Eagles trust Nick Sirianni. They trust what Nick Sirianni believes. They trust what Nick Sirianni's message and what he's doing is, right? I mean, this is what it is, right? Like, I think the most important thing about this hire is that it shows that the Eagles' upper management, Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie, trust what Nick Sirianni is doing. They trust what Nick Sirianni is capable of and the regime that he is trying to build around him. I really do. Because you saw in the recent hire, when it came to the Brian Johnson hire, that came from Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie and Jalen Hurts. Nick Sirianni reportedly had nothing to do with that hire. So now when you look at this one, this is strictly from Nick Sirianni. This is Nick Sirianni's guy. This is the guy Nick Sirianni wanted. This is him. This is all him. So if this backfires, which it may, this falls back on Nick Sirianni. But what I will say, it shows they have trust. It shows this Super Bowl has built a level of love, a level of trust, a level of appreciation for Nick Sirianni. And I think Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie are willing to sit here and they're willing to gamble on a Nick Sirianni guy. I really do. That's what it comes down to. This isn't a hiring outside of the building, going and bringing in a Frank Reich, right? This isn't what that is. This is hiring a guy that's in your system, promoting a guy that's been in the league as a coach for 15 years. He's been built around Jalen Hurts. He's been Nick Sirianni's right-hand man, right? So all those things are positives to me, but that still doesn't make me believe. It still doesn't make me think that this is a great hire. I hopefully will be proven wrong. I just think, for all the people that are out there, and I was listening to WIP today, and 97.5 The Fanatic, and people are calling in and people are talking about that this is a Brian Johnson hire all over again. And I don't think that I am going to go down that route. I don't think that I'm going to sit here and say that, yeah, like this is a Brian Johnson hire. This is a disaster. This is bad. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that that's what this is. I don't think it's going to backfire. I really don't hope it's going to backfire the way that it did with Brian Johnson. But as it stands right now, I don't think that this is. I just don't know if this was the right decision. I really don't, man. And I stated this earlier in the stream, and I stated it earlier in the show. I said I don't know if this is the right decision because this is the only guy that the Eagles went out and actually interviewed. And I'm not even sure that they went out and interviewed Kevin Patullo. I think they took what Jalen Hurts said, they took what Nick Sirianni said, and they just said, okay, you want him, you got him. I think that's what they threw out there on that. I just would have felt much better about this hire if it came down to the fact that the Eagles interviewed 3, 4, 5 different guys and ended up sticking with their guns, sticking with their guts, sticking to what they believe in, and staying with the inside guy, staying with the guy that's been in the system, staying with the guy that's helped this Eagles team win a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Like that. Like that's just where I am when it comes to this. I'm not happy. I'm not ecstatic. Right when we got Kellen Moore, I also wasn't like ecstatic, but I was happy about that because it was such an upgrade from Kellen Moore. But I just think that, you know what I mean. I feel like I don't know. We're going to find out. We're going to see. It's kind of too early to call. It's kind of too early to worry about and think about. But, you're giving them time. You're giving them a little bit of, time to figure things out. But I think that he will be bringing in some new I think he'll be keeping this Kellen Moore playbook, this Kellen Moore style of the scheme, which is, really, it is all fine and dandy. So if you guys want to call in here on this topic, 215-839-8246, that's the number to get in here on this conversation. How you guys feeling about this? How do you guys feel about the hire? Are you guys confident? Are you guys happy? Are you guys feeling bad about it? Or are you like me? Are you in the middle? You don't want to feel bad because that's not really how you feel. And you also don't want to feel good because you've never seen this guy in action. Like when we signed Kellen Moore, we knew what Kellen Moore was as an offensive coordinator. When we signed Kellen Moore, we knew he established himself as a pretty good, damn good offensive coordinator. He's been around in the league. He knows how to coach an offense. We knew his resume coming into his coaching year with the Eagles, right? We knew what that was. But Kevin Patullo, we have no idea what he can do calling plays. We have no idea what that man can do calling plays. It was the same thing with Brian Johnson. Now, I have a lot more confidence in Kevin Patullo than I did with Brian Johnson. But, I just think you have to look at this from all possible outcomes. You know what I mean? That's just really where I have to stand. Yeah, love the guy that's been in the system. Yeah, what's going on? How you doing? Yeah, this is just I like the hire, but I don't like the hire, but I think they should have gone and just interviewed around, man. Just go out. Just go interview, and even if you knew all along that Kevin Patullo was going to be your guy, if you knew all along that Kevin Patullo was going to be the guy that's going to take over Kellen Moore's spot when he leaves, that's fine. But bow down to the fan base. I would say, I wouldn't say bow down, but what I would say is, make us happy. Just shut us up for a little bit and interview. Bring in Frank Reich, right? Like, bring Frank Reich in. bring some, outsiders into the building, try and figure it out. Have these meetings, have these interviews, right? I don't think that that's crazy to say. I don't think that that's crazy to want. I don't think that it's crazy to say that I want my team, my Eagles team, my Eagles organization, who just won a friggin' Super Bowl, to interview around, to question people, to think about who they truly want in that situation. You know what I mean? So again, Instagram question of the day. Go vote over there at Broad Street Sports. Right now, we have some updated percentages on this poll. 13% say they don't know how to feel. 4% say 4% say they're feeling good. 4% say they are feeling. Let's take another phone call. Yo, what's going on?
What's up, bro?
What's going on, man? State your name and where you're from.
Dom from Voorhees.
What's going on, Dom?
You know, I like what you're saying. I think they should have went out and interviewed somebody, but I would listen to 94, and seems like, I don't know. Seems like some people like the guy. I mean, I like the guy personally. I think he has a great philosophy in his pass game. I think he uses his weapons to their best abilities, and I think that the offensive pass game, which did struggle this year, should thrive under Kevin Patullo being the offensive coordinator. But then you want to go, and I don't want them to go and start passing the ball 35, 40 times a game.
Right.
You know, you best O-line, you got Saquon.
Right. Well, that's where I am, right? Like when I think about Kevin Patullo, I don't think this is a bad hire, but I also don't think it's great. But when you say that he was the pass game coordinator, the pass game coach last year and in the past couple of years, but I really specifically look at this Eagles run where they just won a Super Bowl. The pass game was not as consistent and as positive as it should be. And then you just hire a guy, and then you hire the guy that had the inconsistent part of the offense, right? Like that. That's where and like I don't think Jalen Hurts is a guy that is going to that can win you. I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying I don't think Jalen Hurts is a guy that can throw 35, 40 times a game. I think you can keep him at that 20 to 25 mark, but you have to have a consistent offense, a consistent passing attack.
No, I totally agree with you. I could be wrong in this, but Kellen Moore was, in his past, he was definitely more of a predominantly the air raid offense type guy. I feel like Nick had a lot to do with the run game this year, definitely in calling runs and feeding Saquon. But I think you keep Jalen to what he did in the Super Bowl. Like the 20 pass attempts. You keep him from turning the ball over, because when he doesn't turn the ball over, he's at his best, no doubt.
I know, I fully agree with that, and I really, really do. But I just think, I just think we should have went outside of the building, and whether you know that it's going to be Kevin Patullo either way or not, that's fine. But put up with the fans like me, put up and just make it look like you're interviewing and trying to find the best possible outcome. Just do it for the league, do it for for everybody. But I think this could work out well in Jalen Hurts' favor and the offense's favor. But we've seen how it's gone and how it was when the Eagles stayed comfortable. They stayed with what they know, and you saw how it went and how it ended with Brian Johnson. And I just don't want that again with Kevin Patullo. I really don't.
I totally agree, and I think since Brian Johnson, Nick has definitely grown, and the rest of the staff has grown. But I totally agree with what you're saying, where we should have went outside the building and tried to interview Frank Reich, interview Doug, for all people care. Just give somebody something to talk about,
Right. I fully agree with that. So now let me ask you this, right? Do you think that there's going to be a difference to this pass game, right? If you were listening earlier in the show, I said What I want to see out of this new Kevin Patullo offense is keep the same attack that Kellen and the scheme that Kellen Moore had. But what I think, and I truly believe, is I have to see him revamp this passing game. More under center, more play action, more bootlegs, keeping defenses on their toes. Would you agree with that, Dom?
Listen, I totally agree, but I want to make a point here. To get a good pass game going, you have to establish the run. The run is the most important part of an offense.
Absolutely.
And Kevin and Nick can definitely establish the run with this O-line and this running back. But then when you establish the run, the RPOs come into play. Play action comes into play because you're going to have those linebackers and those safeties biting hard. You can hit them over the top or you can hit them in the flat. You just got to – I think what Kevin Patullo will be good at doing is throwing defenses into the loops that Kellen Moore was able to throw defenses into with his RPO and run game, where he establishes the run earlier in the game. Saquon breaks a 10-yarder, then he goes, runs play action, hits Devontae or Dallas, or runs one of those RPOs where you see they send the Mike linebacker onto a blitz, and Jalen Hurts can read it, I'll make another point in a second, but send the Mike linebacker up for a blitz. Jalen can read it and throw the RPO in the flat or the slant to AJ across the middle. And I think that Jalen will help Kevin Patullo out a lot, because you saw this year he was checking out of plays. He was checking into the right blocking schemes. He basically took Kelsey's job from him, but when Kelsey retired. But, Jalen, I feel like he is a very intelligent quarterback under center and being able to read defenses and seeing what they're going to do.
I would tend to agree with that. I really, really would. Dom, I appreciate that phone call. Very insightful. Very. He knew what he was talking about, right? He came in, knew what he was talking about, gave me the reasons of why he liked this Kevin Patullo hire. I think that if Kevin Patullo can help out Jalen Hurts, and then if Jalen Hurts can help out Kevin Patullo, that'd be great. And just like Dom said, we agreed that this offensive passing needs